I'd like to call to order the City of Oconomowoc Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Honor, it has.
Would you please call a roll?
Alderman Rozak.
Here.
Alderman Altman-Kloth. Here. Alderman Ellis. Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Here.
Maroney.
Here.
Alderman Douglas.
Here. Sounds good. Thank you, and welcome everyone. First item up on committee business is a discussion and presentation of the Village Green enhancement options. So it's like we're getting things ready. Jason, we're ready for you.
Whatever happened at the bathrooms?
I don't know where you put it all now.
So,
Mr. Herzog.
while
go ahead.
Jason's doing that, everybody at your station
kinda remember.
has a copy of the presentation that he's going to be doing, so you can take notes as he goes along.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity here. Take a few minutes and I'd like to walk through this project. It's probably been a number of different times that this site has been reviewed. And honestly, Eric and I have spent a lot of time just trying to collect all of the efforts here and bring this into one package that we can discuss. This is a little different style of approaching a project, but I think, out of the character of this, I think this is very appropriate for us to sit down and discuss some of this stuff in the very, very beginnings of this work. It really will help as we go through this and really engage into some discussion so that we can have some thought of what to do with this project and this site. And I don't think it's any mystery. This site has entertained thousands throughout the years. We're doing anything from Saturday morning yoga to Chili Fest, beer gardens to German Christmas market. Tens of thousands of people have enjoyed this site. And I think the idea is we want to entertain and provide a very nice site to the city and really be a part of this as we go through this. So I'm encouraged to be a part of this and to really walk through this. I mean, we've got a lot of uses that go on at this site. Beer gardens we've got three scheduled every year. They run 3 days apiece. We do the parades throughout the year. Movie nights have been here in the past, and for sure many of you guys have been here for the large events. But there's 300 other days of the year that this site can also be used. So we really want to try to focus on what are the things that we want to build into this project, what are the uses, where can we really spend a lot of time and improvements for this. And to bring everybody up to speed, kind of what we've done here, I've asked to kind of pull this project together. I've met with some small groups on city staff, multiple different ones for different purposes, with the intent of really pulling together some of the options and some of the direct pieces of work that we want to do that really brings this project together so that we can discuss some of the options. This is a big component of each project when you approach these types of things is this conceptual review. It's one of the larger pieces inside of some of the private work. So hopefully, with the expertise and experience that the staff has, obviously some of our departments are intimate with the events that are going on. So we've got a great perspective of what to really expect. And right now we're kind of just pulling these ideas together so that we can discuss them right here. The idea is to go forward and meet with some of the local groups. We want to pull together these and specifically talk about each of the events that they may host or the involvements they might have, and to be able to understand some of the demands that this site might have. I think everybody understands not all expectations will be able to be met in one project right away. We'll try to work through a lot of those things, and ultimately we want to be able to deliver this out to the public, work with them, host a public information meeting, probably shooting for one later part of this month. We have looking at the last week in May to probably put together a public information meeting so that we can share a lot of these ideas. What we've done is really looked at this site want to be able to like point out some of the pieces that I think we were focusing on, understanding there's more. I get it. I'm just going to kind of run through this. I want to walk through this project with you and kind of give you a good feeling for where it's at. You know, there's a lot of opportunity right at the gateway, I'll call it, the entrance off of the Four Corners. This is a great spot that can really demonstrate and really open up and give this a great character as you look into the park, or you're exiting it, or you're just walking by it. I'll explain this more, but I think along Main Street, we have 2 parking stalls already, and then it's kind of striped off and restricted in that area. That's mainly because of the traffic movements over there. There's a left turn lane. It really pinches traffic. And what happens on a lot of our events is we get a request on just about every one of them for a food truck to be parked in that area. And it is a very tight area for people to try to navigate north and south in that area. So we're looking at trying to improve this area along Main Street. Of course, we've got the parking lot that's on the north side of the site. There's 10 spots up there. Want to look to see if the use is over there. One of our big things in the site itself, I think most parks are looking at this, especially in the proximity of traffic, is to add any type of perimeter security. Currently, right now, us as a staff and our public works, as we bring out the concrete jersey walls and during the German Christmas market to protect the site, is there probably a more attractive way to bring into the security and the safety of the park? There's some opportunity over in this garden area, I think, to improve on. We've got grading in the stormwater basins that's not being used right now for any other use than just drainage. There's definitely a corner along the lake inside the sidewalk and the boardwalk. It's in really rough shape. I think there's good opportunity to improve there. And then what you've seen in the past is just the extension of the boardwalk to provide more seating and a clean look to the edge of the lake and the edge. So realistically, what we're talking about is the park all in is about 1.35 acres, just under 60,000 square feet. If you narrow that all down, you're really looking at about 30,000 square feet of usable green space, more in the area that you commonly see our events going on. Up on the north end, there's 10 spots, 10,000 square feet roughly this is. This is kind of a one-way in, one-way out deal. We typically will close this on our large events as they request to use this for their staging. So you don't get to park in a lot of the events up here. So the bump-in idea is in all of our options. It's just there for demonstration, but I'll explain it a little bit here. So it's about 200 feet linearly down Main Street that's, potentially could have a space enough to cut in the lane here and allow parking daily in this area and jet the sidewalk out into the village green. So that would be roughly 2,000 square feet if you put a 10-foot lane in there. So there might be a trade-off, depending on where our utilities are, of possibly getting 7, 8, possibly 9 stalls in that area. So the rest of this is I just want to walk through some of the renderings that we've put together. So where we came with these ideas, inside of our small groups, we had discussion on a lot of those things I just mentioned and tried to put them in some type of picture format that we could, visually discuss. So I'll walk through this, but I just want to remind everybody, the idea here is that, there's no one plan I'm proposing here. There's just options, and then there's options inside of those things. Now, what the components are, I don't know. I don't know what the details are. I'm just suggesting these are potential areas that we could look to do things. And then we would work on the ideas once we get a good understanding of where we might want to go with some of those things. So I'm going to lay this out in a 1, 2, 3, 4 format. I'll walk through each one of these and kind of give you my perspective on it, some pluses, some minuses, however you want to look at it. And each one of these options will have 3 views to it. I'll call this the aerial. The next one will be more of a side image coming from if you were standing in the middle of the intersection. And the third image would be if you're out in the boat looking into the park. I'll try to point those out as we go. But option 1 here, we're looking, directly down into the park. The Etc. building's over here. We're looking up at the north end in our parking lot, obviously. So out here, a lot of these pieces that I've mentioned, the boardwalk will be in all of the options, understanding we can do, a lot of different things, a lot of different layouts with that. I'm just showing a landing to kind of mirror what we had done already. And, the geometry of the sidewalk is up for debate and stuff like that. But if you will, option 1 shows the bathrooms solely on the west side of the Etc. building. This is kind of where we had discussed, I want to say maybe back 2021, I found this is where the building structure was proposed. This is looking in between their 2 doors and fronting their kitchen windows they're kind of blocked off right now. But this structure, could handle a lot of the park. It's kind of not directly in there, but it does allow for a lot of flow of pedestrians coming and going. As you can walk around the park here, this is a lot of opportunity, I would suggest. That could be seating, this could be benches, this could be some transition loading areas in this area as we're walking around. And then obviously the boardwalk could continue in a similar fashion going up to the north. It's hard to see here, but I'll show more detail about it. But inside there is something that I think we could really take advantage of, is not really installing a railing in this part, but more of a, call it a stone look, as a step-down stone, kind of walking down into the lake, which could allow for, we kind of have a dog area that can utilize the lake in there currently, that can continue in some fashion like that. Also, parking lot's kind of showing the same. And then here's kind of the idea of going with your food truck or parking, throughout the day in this area, and you can kind of see how traffic could move through this. Now, again, there's a couple options that you'll see throughout these options. Is the gateway areas. There's a lot of different variations that could be handled in this front entrance here. What the geometry is of the sidewalk could be worked on and improved. We could go with the O and different fashions in there, possibly put some benches or seating that could fit in there. I was really focusing on trying to add seating here and there, kind of space them out throughout the park for the variety of casual lounging throughout the days when there are no vents, just being able to provide that. If you kind of look along Wisconsin, here's kind of an idea of perimeter security. Those could be raised concrete gardens, they could be planters, they could be seat benches. Those types of things could be concrete, flat benches of some sort too. All right, if we're standing in the intersection looking straight into the park, our flagpole is currently offset to the north, but this could be more centrally located and symmetrical to the park and really feature the flag and some of the stone masonry work that could be handled with some pillar work and a variety of that, some vegetation to hide and screen our electrical cabinets. These are the traffic signals that are out there with the street lights, so they do provide some of that idea of planters. And then, if you will, in the brown building there, that would be kind of the look of an area where the restrooms would go. If we flip, we're kind of looking directly back into the park here. And this is more the idea of the restrooms again being on the left side, patio type thing. Over here with some seating possibly. And this would be kind of the step down brickwork, stonework that could go down in the lake. This feature right here is what I would call and I think it's been mentioned, the Oconomowoc art sign. I'll give a little more detail on that, but that would be option one. And I just want to narrow and zoom in on this idea of trying to build something with a clean stone look, as we have, the character over in our Rockwell Park of that step down, walk down, transition to the lake. Allows for seating, fishing, those types of things. Dogs can come and go. That would kind of give us a good image of where that could potentially be. I'll just touch on this a little bit. This is from a year ago, roughly, the idea of adding the Oconomowoc art sign to this location. Doesn't have to be here, but this could be an option if we wanted to work it into the park somehow. Could allow for some good photo opportunity and some of the promoting through the social media network in this idea. There's variations of this sign too, but I just picked this one here. Option two, this is something that we discussed a couple meetings ago. This would be putting the restrooms on the back side of it, et cetera. This would be where their trash bin is right now and underneath their stair landing. Be a little complicated reconstructing the stair landing in this area, but it would have to be supported on top of our building, so they would have to work through some of that. A lot of the other same components here. The idea of keeping the parking lot as is, and then possibly adding in some type of surface-mounted tent, if you will. This would be something that would allow for maybe a more, seasonal type tent that could be handled to allow the, the uniformity of beer gardens being in this area. Small concerts could go here. These would be a structure that would be set up that could be removable as the German Christmas market builds theirs into this. The idea possibly of even building a structure that could be permanently set and allow the German Christmas market to wrap around it could be an option. And maybe they serve, they would have to flip-flop a couple of things in there, but I think that could be an option too if we decided to, really commit to some type of structure over here to help with a lot of the other events. Just a look here, as you can see, what the two areas look like that. This is just looking from the lake. I'll call this option 2A, really. This is just the idea, if we can't get past building a structure underneath a stairwell or on top, right next to a building, the idea of maybe building a standalone bathrooms that would be separated from the building. Not a big fan of, the pavilion like this, but I mean, the idea is just to drum up some thought here as if we wanted a structure in this area that could handle bathrooms and entertainment in that area and free up the north end. If this just wanted to be more green space to be open for other activities. So that would be just showing the separation from the building and the openness on the north side. Problem with this I have is just the transition. We do a lot of loading and unloading in this area for the events, and a lot of our events are kind of, they're growing, they get bigger, they walk right into our parking lot, so, this might interrupt that. So some massaging of a building would have to work with that. So the next two options I'm going to show you do not have the parking lot. Again, the idea here is if, we really are looking at maximizing the use of the park for all park things, activities, events. This could be an option to add square footage to the park by putting bathrooms and a stage to the north and really giving a lot of green space to the area by adding, if this This parking area is 10,000 square feet, and, you know, you got a 60,000 square foot area, so you're adding 10-20% to the park itself. And what the thought would be to kind of have a driving lane on the backside of it, so that you would have a nice wide sidewalk trying to get people to use the bathroom if necessary, but also to be able to use this for your beer trucks and trailers if they wanted to pull in and just run their event right out of this area. With the band set up, still trying to provide some access there. You know, again, we could do a different geometry to the center here, a little different look to the gateway opening entrance. This is more following our Fowler Park entrance, as we have the pillars, stone pillars, and the iron gate look over there. This would kind of, you know, complement some of that. Just showing some of the bathrooms, opening this area up a little bit. This fourth option is, you know, similar nature. The thought here is to kind of put together bathrooms that flank the stage, elevate this so that it could be a true like entertainment type thing. I would think we would want an open back to this, and you could pull in your truck and trailer, and, you know, you could access the stage from the rear and have this option more of a, you know, entertainment style. This frees up some of the space in this area again, a little different look to the front entrance spot, as this is just more of a, you know, concrete brickwork with an elevated garden area that could, you know, provide your protection and separate these and size these appropriately so that, you know, you can still provide protection to the park. Looking at, you know, a variety of different things in here if this was to, you know, be some type of garden area. So those are the few options. You know, a lot of things go on in those few minutes there, but, you know, I can answer questions, or if we want to go around and try to spitball some of the ideas, you know, if people are having questions about it or if they have thoughts, you know, this is kind of the open discussion here.
With this open discussion, if you have a question, just shout out. You don't need to ask for permission. We want to try to find out what your thoughts are, your initial impressions, and give staff some direction on good things and bad things.
So, Jason,
Well, yeah,
in every- Go ahead.
I really did like option one. I thought that was really good. It was with the food truck option there. I really did love that because it also gave more than enough room. We wouldn't have a problem with squeezing cars down on both sides, which was good. I really fell in love with the circle in the middle there. I thought that was really nice. And it was very clean and simple. What I would like to see was also with option three. Okay, so we use option one, but now what we do is we get rid of the parking lot over there. Okay, that would open it up. And I do like where the bathrooms are right there. It's very clean, it's very simple. You know, we're not complicating things and putting it in back of buildings and having to throw stuff around and things. So I really do like option one, with just that one caveat, and that is that we lose the parking lot and maybe we extend that out and we put like an amphitheater there or something for purposes of
That's
summer.
perfect, Kevin. I think the idea here is to look at all of these
Right.
and tell me the things that, you know, are working. Like I said, there's no one plan here I'm pitching. I'm just trying to get good ideas flowing. So
So that's me, I'll keep quiet now.
I like, in all of these, the electrical box back by the corner of the parking lot is gone there. Is that just design, or is that really going?
both,
Okay.
yeah.
Then in all of them, the garbage receptacle area is gone. Have we decided to move that? That's no matter what, that's gone?
Not necessarily.
And then the stairs aren't presented.
Yeah, I mean, this is just,
I'm just, do the stairs
yeah,
have
I
to
haven't,
stay?
I have not eliminated anything there, if there's thoughts on, hey, we really need to get rid of this trash.
So I guess my point is if we're gonna spend another couple $1 million doing this, having some rickety stairs and a crappy garbage thing right on the edge of it doesn't make any sense. Like that has to be improved or removed.
Sure.
100%.
The stairs as well, I mean, if that's a safety issue and they have to remain, but I don't think they should come down the side of the building onto the green. We should find a more elegant way to do that. When, on this one, area one, where you have the bathrooms, I don't mind them there because the sidewalk's a little bigger. I haven't been a big fan of them going alongside the building. I still would like to see them not quite so square and be a rectangle that more is in line in keeping with the dimensions of the et cetera. But I do like keeping it at the back corner there. I do think it tucks them away a little more neatly and also lets
So
people.
you're saying you're more like looking at it.
Yeah, right. And then you can also see the bathrooms from multiple areas. It feels tucked out of the way and just gives a more open feel. And I'm not in favor of the O statue in front of the lake. I mean, what I love is this big view of the lake, and then to put this statue in front of it just doesn't make sense. Those are my thoughts.
Matt, your comments are prescient on the corner. Wherever that bathroom ends up going in that corner, we have to do something nice with the dumpsters there.
Sure.
We need to build up brick, make them look nice, pay to do those
got some
stairs
ideas,
nice.
but yeah, I agree.
mean, that's gotta get cleaned up if we're not gonna put the bathrooms in that corner. I personally think option 3 is the best idea. I 100% agree with getting rid of the parking lot, doing the bump out so you have the parking on the street for the food trucks or regular parking. And this option, because then you're reducing the massing and the concrete. I mean, that's what people always say. Let's maximize the green space. So let's put the bathrooms there. Let's do the little event space, which I think is a great idea. The bands come and play at the beer gardens all the time. This would give them a place to set up. We can have electric, we can have bathrooms and water there for all the events. It's in one spot. You don't have two different massings of the little event space and then the bathroom somewhere else. And maximize the green. I don't care whether it's triangular or circle. I mean, either
Yeah.
one is fine, whatever people want. And then we fix that dumpster area, like Matt said.
Okay.
And make that look nice, make it part of the appearance, and maximize the green space. The parking lot doesn't make any sense there anymore, I don't think. Let's make this usable for people. Plus, think about how much space we lose in that parking lot.
Yeah.
The way that the spaces are, you have to use almost double the space just to turn in. It's a complete waste of our lakefront for maybe some development that comes in there someday that wants someone to park near it. You know, we can't worry about that. I think we should use the space for the public. Those bathrooms will also serve all the people here, anybody here, any people here, and then all the lake walkers in this spot. And, you know, people coming to Veterans Memorial Park or walking that corner. I think it's.
That's true, too.
Option 3 is awesome, in my opinion.
Question, Jason, oh, sorry. So with 2, with the bathrooms, is there, I don't even think, would there be enough, you said there's always like trucks and stuff flowing through there to try to, you know, bring supplies in or whatever. I don't even think that would work there, would it?
If you take away the dumpster, obviously that's square footage that we aren't able to like use right now.
Yeah.
If you take away the dumpster and account for some landing and staircase, you know, I don't know what that version is. You know, there's not a lot of options there outside of internally. And then, you know, can you legitimately, you know,
Yeah.
can you still function in it right there? I mean, there's no parking there right now.
Yeah.
We don't have a pedal tavern anymore.
I think that still looks tight. I like 3 because it leaves that totally open there as far as people walking through. That's what I like,
Yep.
really like about 3. You know, there's some other details that are neither here nor there, whether the center thing's a square or a circle. I love the ability to put the food trucks there. And then what are our options for working with et cetera on those stairs? Because they depend on that in the summer as far as the rooftop dining.
But it's usually closed. I think that's only a safety issue. Usually they
No.
don't allow people.
No, that's their primary.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
They do in the summer.
Yeah, in the summer.
No,
Yeah.
we're,
You have to go inside to be able to get a table. They take you up, and then you leave that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But you wouldn't have to.
Or you jump off into the dumpsters.
We call that dumpster diving.
the property owner,
You wonder about,
Karen, to answer your
Emergency.
question, the property owner's been very good to deal with, And I'm sure they'll be work well with the city to come up with a good solution once we can define where we want to go.
I like the general outline of option one. I don't like the parking lot over by, if you look at option one, aerial on one. Yeah, I mean, I just don't, I think that it's better off that we, you know, have a lane for events and things like that, but if we're going to put the stage in there, I guess I like bits and pieces of all of it, but definitely not the parking on one. I like the centerpiece on one, you know, whether, you know, the geometry doesn't matter. It looks a little, I like the American flag right there at the corner. However, it looks a little bit cluttered with, you know, with the landscaping that we would do around that. You know, if we could thin that out a little bit and make it a little more open, you know, but in general, and then I guess, you know, we've been back and forth about these bathrooms, either on the side of et cetera or behind it. I absolutely agree that something has to be done about those dumpsters behind et cetera. I mean, as far as the look of that, because that's the flow. If you go through events, I'm thinking of the German Christmas Festival, and people flow right through there. And if you don't have an option for people walking through there, they're winding their way behind a bathroom and or dumpster. I'm kind of torn between the bathroom on the side or the front, but I think overall it should be on the Village Green sign, just because of the flow. If you're walking by the boardwalk there, like on an event night, you know. And then also, I think Matt brought up the sign. I don't like the sign in front of, you know, right there. I don't think it's necessary. Because it kind of takes away from our piers and just the overall look of the lake, but
Yeah, we don't need that.
I mean, that's kind of my opinion.
So, I don't know why I like the circle, probably because we're Oconomowoc and I think of, you know, an O in the circle, so like kind of
That's a good
keeping with
idea.
that O theme.
Yeah.
And
The
then in
Oconomowoc.
terms of like a front entry, my personal favorite was the number 3, where you said kind of mirrors Fowler Park. And Andy, I don't think you were on council back when we originally started talking about this, but while you may see that as cluttered, we see that as safety. You know, we're trying to keep cars from driving onto Village Green. So, you know, kind of those fixtures there, I mean, while they're there to kind of look nice, they're ultimately there to make sure that no one, you know, nothing bad happens to the people on the green.
gate stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
the planters are essentially place of bollards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So the planters along
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, I like the idea. I just think
Yeah.
that if we could just
I think he was
Yeah.
do it the right way.
right
you know?
around that,
Okay.
that, the flag, you said there's a lot of landscaping.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what he was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
I
in
like
terms
the
of like the
flag.
bathroom placement, you
Yeah.
know, like originally when we talked about like the option number 1, how that kind of cut into Village Green, I didn't like, but the thought, I think Kevin said this, like the option 1 bathroom, but with like the option 4 getting rid of that parking lot, then it wouldn't feel so intrusive.
Right.
But I'm also in favor of where the bathrooms for number 4 are. I'm not in favor of the number 2 bathrooms. Anything that cuts that walkway. Or just the visibility over there. And then, here's my one question though. And I know we cannot design Village Green based on one event that our city holds, but it's also one very big, important event. So, you know, you're talking about, you know, wanting to put seating in, put, you know, this structure here, potentially this structure here. How would those permanent fixtures impact, like, the German
Well, I think
Christmas market?
what we would do, the seating I was thinking of is like, some of these raised gardens, like over here, can we raise this up and put a sitting wall for like people for parades? You know, everybody comes right in this area, it's really dense right here. Can you provide some more seating there? Can you provide seating along here? So these would be more permanent. Now, inside the circle, you know, there's plenty of products that we could place with our public works crews.
I mean,
Skidsters can
the
move them
Bob
in and
Duffy
out.
chairs. I
What's
mean,
that?
The Bob Duffy chairs. I know Bob's not here today.
He is.
Oh, is he? Where is he?
You can talk.
Yeah, I mean, the Bob Duffy chairs. I mean, just go to Lolaberg's. They're like, what, $15 a piece? Spread them around. They work out great, right, Bob?
And then the storm comes and they blow away.
No, I know those have been a source of contention in the city. I guess, whatever we do end up deciding, again, while I'm going to contradict myself, we can't design this based on one event, but we also should keep the German Christmas market in
Yep,
mind.
and I
getting
think
that tent
we
in.
attempted that in each of these options.
Okay,
I think
good.
we understood that and tried to make, you know, each of these options inside of that. So keep
If we
firing,
choose- if
keep
we-
firing away,
Well, yeah,
and
but
then
if-
what I'd like to
Think
do,
about this, if we choose to do something that makes them go from the biggest, most massive tent of all time to a slightly less than massive big tent, you know, I mean, because
was
we decide to
crowded.
put the bathrooms in X spot or whatever, or a little pavilion. I mean, there's a lot, if we get rid of that parking lot, and we move stuff around on the edges, there's gonna be a lot of space
No,
there.
I agree.
I mean, there's a lot more space.
One issue with removing that parking lot, which I like the way it looks, is that the property to the north of that was using that parking lot as a turn-in lane to whatever building goes there. So that new,
and then some.
we've taken, yeah, and then some for the original parking. So those lots now have to have a front entrance or no parking associated with them, which wouldn't be possible, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a reason for or against, but
Yep,
that
no, it's a good point.
It will restrict it.
if there is another project that wants to come in there that requires 2 parking spots per residence, that is no longer possible for that space, because they wouldn't have a way to access the parking.
They would have to do it on their site.
Were we ever gonna give them, we were never really gonna give them access to those spaces, though, those are gonna be just public, right?
No, it was the turn-in space.
Oh, the turn-in for
right,
their
'cause
entry.
They came
Oh,
into
yeah.
that and did the turn-in.
Yeah, you need to turn into your building.
And we took that into consideration, Alderman Mulder, but, you know, my discussions with Jason is like, you know, let's plan the village green. Let's show them options, let the council decide. Because if we look at how many years we've sat around, and Sarah's here, that, you know, we started talking about the restrooms on the side of et cetera. We worked a few years on that, and then all of a sudden Rockwell comes along. We throw that idea out. We spent a couple of years on Rockwell. They're not here. So now we're here. We have the 1.2 million out of the TIF 4 that has been allocated to working on this project. So we're bringing it in, and we're looking for the council to say, what do you want for the city?
There's a lot of buildings, even I think if you go up to Eagles Landing, or no, it's Park and Lac La Belle, they have some garage entrances on the first floor. If somebody were to come in and build a big building there, they could have a spot that's a garage door, that's an entrance that looks nice, and then have commercial on the other side or other entrances. So
It just begins to take up more of their real estate in a spot that's already difficult to.
Navigate.
I don't disagree with you at all. I agree. It's a problem.
Consideration we should have.
Matt,
But
are you
sh-
talking,
You shrink that guy down, and then you don't do this option with such a big spot there, or maybe you move it down more to give options to them. if
are
you
you,
do
are you talking about, like, if they do something there, that they would pull in off of Main Street? Oh, well, then we got
Well, they were
traffic
gonna pull
issue,
in,
don't we?
they were
They're
gonna kind of pull
pulling
in
it off of Main Street regardless
But
if
they
they're
had a
turning
turn,
into
but
a
they had
parking
more of a
lot or
turning
if they're
radius,
turning
right?
into their building.
It was almost weirder in a way,
Think so?
because they were gonna turn in and then turn out right in that garage, right in the front, right?
Yeah,
And then kind of use up that space. Now you just have a straight right in, turn out. It's just like a normal garage like you have in your house, you know? I mean, except it would probably go down or go into a flat surface lot that's there.
Yeah, kind of like the Rockwell house that's going up right now. That's-
Correct.
That's how theirs is going
Yeah,
up.
that's great. That's correct.
speaking of Sarah being here, can I call you out? I would love to get Sarah's opinion on this. She's been.
I'm gonna come to Chaz first, because I
Oh,
want to make sure all
Chaz, yep,
council has an
sorry.
Thanks, Mr.
opportunity
Mayor.
first, but I would love to hear it too.
Yeah, same as me. So I was thinking about when we were talking about the public restrooms, it was a couple months ago, maybe, how long has it been since we had that discussion? A few
I
months at
think it's
this point?
February.
Okay. And I got a call from Roxanne Rush and Doug Stern with the Fowler Lake Village condominium, and they're like, well, what's the evaluative criteria you're working off of to place the bathroom, and where you're gonna put it? And I thought that was maybe a little more complex than we need to for the bathroom, but then I think about that same logic, with the village green overall. And so I like a lot of the, ideas being proposed, but at the end of the day, I'm like, well, what's the evaluative criteria, objective things that we're gonna work off of that we prioritize? So I heard like different ideas from people in the group. So Jason talked about, seating. I think others talked about accessibility to the lake, lounging for everyday use, geared towards events, open space, the safety component. So it's like, I wonder if we can kind of consolidate these different criteria that we all care about, rank them, and we kind of figure that, and that's how we piece this together in
Ultimately.
that way, ultimately,
Yeah.
right. And that should also apply to Sarah and, the
Yeah.
groups downtown and
No,
overall.
I think that's a good
so-
part. We started doing that, and that's how we built some of this stuff.
Totally, but I
Yep.
think we should all know what criteria you are using to do that as well.
Yeah, I
so
think you're right
can
on point with it.
Add that up. So, and
Good-
that's, like
good
I said,
comment.
from Roxanne Rush and Doug Stern, so.
Just one sec, Chris, do you want to
Are you
make
sure
some
you want to talk,
comments?
Sarah?
Sarah, just one moment. Chris, do you have any comments?
I was
just
just-
want, council members to go
Big
first.
thing for me is, ever since it was proposed on the side of et cetera, I haven't been a fan of it. Kind of what I said before is the concrete massing, like, the overall look of this feels like there's less concrete, more green space. I mean, so personally for me, I wouldn't support option 1 or 2. I'd only support option 3 or 4, just based on where it is and opening up the village green for more use personally. That's all I really had.
Great.
Hey,
Sarah.
Thank you. I really,
If
really
you'd introduce
appreciate-
yourself for the record,
Yeah,
please.
Sarah Ninman. I am now the Director of Community Events for the Chamber. So all of the district events are coming underneath the Chamber umbrella, and then I stepped into that role. So I am now compensated for my time, so that's great. So I'm really excited. Thank you for letting me just weigh in on it. So a couple things I just want to say. When we do host events down here, something to think about is we always bring in dumpsters, no matter what event it is, and we're always bringing in porta potties. So if we take away the parking lot, which is your choice, just that lane in the back is big enough. I don't know if that would also help with what the development could be, but that lane is big enough in the back of a structure or no structure that we still can back in, because I don't know where else or how else we would deliver dumpsters and porta potties. So just keeping that in mind, that we would have enough room for that. Whether it's on the side of et cetera or a full, pavilion type over there. I like them all. What I appreciate right now is that all of our hard work and all the things that we have talked about at the bathrooms, we're now seeing it as a whole village green. So I think it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to make a decision because we're going to see it in a whole thing instead of just saying, okay, do we put it here or here? We get to now place it however we see fit. I don't have a huge opinion on where or how or what the aesthetics look like, except for some of those components of getting that back there.
And for the council too, Jason's going to work with several of the groups as well. He's talked to several. I invited Sarah to come, so she's at the beginning process. The other things you have to think about when you dig in the details, where the electric go, how can we make it so efficient? Because you go to the German Christmas market, it's a little scary with all the wires and everything that goes around.
Yeah,
They
and
do
the
a
other-
great job.
In the beer
But-
gardens,
Yeah, go ahead.
the beer gardens have two components. They've got the beer garden, which would be great to have, a pad to pull up on, or, the beer trucks, and the music component, right? So maybe it's a slight turn of a cement slab or something, or the ability to put up another tent somewhere, because usually it's not the beer and the music sitting right on the same surface.
Well, that's option 4 actually allows that too, with the kind of walk-through. Where's Jason,
Yeah.
where'd Jason go? That kind of see-through thing where you could pull stuff right up to there. I mean, I was kind of iffy about that, but that's an interesting concept. And if you make sure the lane's big enough to drop dumpsters.
Yep.
Because that could be a spot too, that lane where you put all of the porta potties next to the other
Yeah.
bathrooms and more porta potties, that's the
I think
spot.
that's up on there on the priority list of, where those could be.
Right,
And
no,
how-
that's fair.
How can they
So
get
you're
to it?
putting the the bathrooms back up against the building there? Is that what I see, or no?
No.
There's a gap between the building and where those are at,
Oh, okay.
so you
Ah.
can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can put those there. You can put the bathrooms there.
The one nice thing about that
Bathrooms
versus
there.
3 is it doesn't go
that
as
we
far
build
into the
something.
village green,
Correct.
which gives us more green space.
And I'm in favor of losing the Oconomowoc statue thing there. I think it's redundant, especially if we have the circle in the middle.
I'm putting a statue there no matter what. I'm putting one there.
Around if you want.
So for council, this is what I'm hearing as I'm listening to you, and I'm just making a few notes, and please speak up if I'm off base. I'm hearing no parking lot, no Oconomowoc sign, remove the dumpster almost no matter what.
Not remove the dumpster, fix.
Fix it or move it.
I've got a thought
Well,
where
talked
we might
about
be able to
moving
build
it.
something.
Oh, interesting, okay,
Show it here, it's over here. Mark.
okay.
The planters and safety are really important, and those are things that we like. We tend to like the O in the center for Oconomowoc. Make sure we have room for porta potties. and to think about the traffic in there, and I'm getting positive feedback on where the food trucks would go with that cutout area.
I like that.
But also recognizing, you're just looking at an event, those will also be just regular parking spaces.
Correct.
When there's not an event.
Mayor, if you can also help me as a whole here, this doesn't have to be anything official, but I laid out each of the options in respect to kind of the bathrooms. I mean, can we take a poll to see if I
Sure.
focus on one area versus another?
Versus just the bathrooms, you're saying now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, now that you kind of look at the park altogether, you know, where is it that you really want to focus the attention? And where do we want to focus the designs of the building, in what location?
The least pavement, the most green, the
Right.
most activity is option 3 or 4, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yep.
It gives you the most options, it gives you the most green space.
See a lot of head
and
shaking.
opens up the parking lot behind.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like the design of the bathroom on 4, though, because you're separating out men from women versus, like, you know, I always talk to
Yeah, I
kids
mean, I
thing.
could go
If
either
you have little kids, you
Yeah,
know,
that's fair.
So you like the bathroom in 3?
yes.
The bathroom location 3, you like 3, Matt? Anybody else like 3?
Like 3.
I like
Is there, think we have a majority for option 3 bathroom location?
I'm 1.
Well,
Majority, I said.
yeah, and I'm
Only
for
minority.
1 with
I'd
getting
never
rid of
do
the parking lot.
Okay.
Yep, no, don't worry about the parking lot yet.
Well, I don't want to vote for 1 if we keep the parking lot, because then I wouldn't vote for
Okay.
1, you know what I mean? I'll just vote for 3.
I think what we're trying to get down is to where do you want
All
the
right, 3.
bathrooms?
Yeah.
Guys,
In
this
one,
is-
there's
So-
just so
where
much.
the design.
let's all, let's
the
all come
bathrooms.
and do a, if you,
Wait, hold on, comment. I have a question.
Look at the picture
They're
of the
here, they're on
bathrooms
the
over there.
back side of this.
They're on the backside of that?
Yes.
Oh, I'm
They're
in
not
favor of
against the
that.
building. There's a gap between the building and them.
so everybody knows which,
Okay,
where the bathrooms are in all 4 options, correct?
yeah, now I do.
So just looking at the bathrooms and assuming we're going to try to hit all of these other goals, what I'd like by a raise of hands is who likes option 1, 2, 3, or 4? And give yourself a second here. 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Can we vote for 2?
You can vote for 2.
Wait,
I'm
what?
reserving all of my votes based on feedback as well. I mean, I just, am
Yeah.
serious. They
I'm
have
just-
talked
we're
about-
just trying
Like
to
I
get
said,
an
this isn't
idea.
official, this
This
is
is
just
just
something to give us some
direction.
direction.
Just
Yeah.
direction.
This is direction, because we want to try and narrow it down. So those that like option 1 on the side of Vino, or the et cetera, excuse me. Got it? Those that like option 2 with it on the side towards the lake.
All right, I'm
Those that
I'm
option-
qualifying my vote there, because if the parking lot stays, then I like that one. If the parking lot goes.
Okay,
Assuming-
can we
I
do
mean,
that?
I can't.
Can we
vote.
do that, though?
Let's do that.
Can we vote it
Let's
twice?
vote on the parking lot first, because
Yep.
that seems
Let
to
me
be.
go,
But
there we go.
I won't know the parking lot till I know what.
I did them in the reverse order.
Let's, oh, geez. I feel like I'm voting for president and vice president again. Now, let's do this, and I think that's a good point. By a raise of hands, who wants to keep the parking lot? Raise of hands, who wants to not keep the parking lot?
All right, well, there you go.
I could go
And,
either way.
and you know, it's still, this is just to try to give us a gauge, you guys.
Yeah.
This is not committal,
Yeah, right.
okay? Did that help, Mark? Or Matt? Did it help? Okay. So we've done 1 and we've done number 2. Who wants number 3?
Bad pun intended.
3.
And why, just help me out, why do we like 3? I heard your point with keeping the bathrooms together, but also understanding, is there, you know, if we
Less
keep the.
massing too.
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea, you like 3 because it's the size impact, so to keep that thing compact, right?
Right.
Not to span it out or to keep it, okay. And then also trying to build something that can accommodate trucks, bands
Behind it, right.
behind it.
There's a lot of traffic flow over that way in terms of pedestrian, kayakers, all that kind
All
of
that.
stuff too.
We
so
get the count
it's
on
just,
how many? we
Especially
use
when
for
that
3?
boardwalk wraps around there.
Can you guys raise again? We didn't get the count. How many for 3?
3?
How many for 4?
I mean, 4 is fine too.
4.
I-
The only comment I would make to council thinking of 4, the advantage of 4 is you have an open area on the back of that stage area, which I'm looking at logistics for events, things happening. But I do.
I was just a symmetry guy, so I had trouble like
Yeah.
putting it on one side, but that could be an option.
To Matt's point about the developer, though, option 3, the less massing, does give us a little option in that corner if they need to do a pull-in.
That's true.
You could even
So-
shift it closer to lake and not be center. I mean, there's a.
Yeah,
Yeah,
either way, but
so
that
if we
that
look
does
at
give
maybe-
us a little bit of,
What if we did like a corner unit type thing or something?
I think pushing it back as far as you can is the best idea.
Back as
And
in
you don't
to
want
the
it on
north?
the lake, because that's gonna
Away from the
ruin.
lake.
Yeah,
People are
I
gonna
think
be
where you
happy
have
about
it's a
having
good spot, and they'd still have turnaround. That's a good point. That's a
Okay,
good point.
to the mayor's point on, okay, number 4, where you said that stage area is open going back,
Yeah,
then why couldn't we put the whole restroom on one side or the other of that? And leave that open?
Because it's not it's not symmetrical.
What'd you say?
It's not symmetrical.
It hurts Jason's eyes.
Literally, he would
was hard
not
for me to
sleep,
look at.
okay?
I think when you put it with the pavilion, it kind of wraps it all together, and it keeps, again, the
It
massing
does.
down.
It
looks
does.
nice.
It's cheaper to do it in one building.
so I think Chief is going to come up and give us his opinion.
Oh,
Okay.
how many kids are you gonna have to kick out of those houses?
I think we have some good ideas and directions. Please continue to give us feedback, and let's talk a little bit about where those next steps are.
All right, so really, I laid this out when I first started looking at this, and these are just some milestones and some tasks that I wanted to build and talk with staff. We kind of pulled together, a team or a group internally here and built a lot of this that you're seeing today. It's very helpful to get good ideas brewing, and between now and, I want to say, maybe the first council meeting in June, like to spend some time with these groups and a public information meeting, and then be able to give you some of that feedback and update some of these drawings. Maybe we take all of this and narrow it down to this, and then we can discuss that more. In order to try to keep this thing moving, I want to shoot for, the first or second council meeting in July, that what we would do is we would take all of our ideas and all of our conceptual ideas, and we would present it and request for a proposal from an engineer or an architect to get us across the construction finish line. They would take all those ideas, they would say, we'd give them some opportunity to take those and put their own, character to it, and we would review that. And then they would be able to build a construction set plan for us. And then we would advertise that late fall and get that awarded to a contractor and try to build this, middle of winter and then going into early spring, and hopefully, just depending on what kind of spring we have next year, we can open up the park.
Are we using any of the previous work from the ad hoc Village Green Committee that used to exist?
They went
or-
through them, Eric went through them. Eric is in the audience too. Eric's been very involved, so they've been going through all the plans. If there are more things that you guys want to see, you just got to let us know.
Yeah, I
We
just
tried
know-
to narrow it down, but yeah, there are all sorts of ideas.
All right.
Yep. So, and before we close this discussion topic, is anybody in the audience want to make a comment? If you're a guest, you're a resident, anyone, chief, if you have any comments, because we will be coming back to you about safety and when we get this a little bit more narrowed down. Anybody, you're welcome to make a comment if you'd like. No? Okay. Any further or final questions? Hats off to Jason, to you and the team, and Eric and everyone that's worked on this.
Nice job.
This is saving us a lot of money doing it in this process, and just hats off to you, did a great job. Alderman Ellis.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. On so many occasions, when projects are brought, I can only speak for myself, I get a little confused because I'm a visual person. That was visual. So thank you.
Yep.
Great. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item, which is discuss and presentation of the budget kickoff, the strategic plan handout. Ms. Sullivan Murray.
So this will be pretty quick. Mostly it's a handout. I already have it in front of you. So every year lately, to start off this budget process, we've kind of gone through this strategic plan just to give you an idea of what's already been accomplished, and then a status update on the other items that are in here. So you, oops, y'all have this handout in front of you. This I'm also going to put on the website. But what we did is, all the department heads updated their items. There is a section for each one of the goals. Every item in there has an update. There's a cross out in there if we've completed it. So I want you to take a look at it. Take a look at what's been accomplished, where we're at in the process. The next couple of meetings, we're going to come back like we did last year with the top 3 budget priorities for each department, just to discuss with you. And then we'll have council talk about what, when you're looking at this, what else needs to be done? What's your priorities for the next couple of years? This helps us start our budget process. We come back with capital projects and then with the operating budget. But this really helps kind of lay that groundwork of where we're going.
Do you want us to
So,
look at
yeah,
the
I want you
strategic?
to
Do you
take
want
a
us to
look
look
at
at that and add or cut things out or do it?
Yeah, because what we're going to do, like I said, is we'll kind of come back with what departments think is a priority to add, but we want to know what you want to add too, or what you're like, don't even work on this anymore.
So last year, we had done a couple different meetings, so we planned this year to try and get through all the department heads on May 21st. And then the meeting after that, then we want input back from the council. The strategic plan, any other ideas that you didn't hear from the department heads or thoughts that you have, we'd like to be able to hear that in order that when we start working on the budget, we have that knowledge in
So
mind.
what do you want us to do? Send you an email? Call
I'm thinking I might just make a worksheet for you, just so you can list your thoughts. And you
That'd be
can,
perfect.
so that if we could get that ahead, maybe I could put some of your ideas up while we're talking about it. So let me work on that tomorrow and the next day, and I will get a worksheet to you, just something that you can kind of jot notes on. And
Maybe
then we
split
can
up by
have
the big
something.
categories,
Yeah,
maybe?
we've got 5 big categories.
that would
You
make
can take
sense.
a look at, kind of thoughts in each one of the categories. And then about some of the budget priorities that come forward next meeting as well. It just gives us a good place to start and keep moving forward. But yeah, so this is the first of it. I also have this electronically, if you'd like it. I sent it to the department heads electronically, and I will put it on the website as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's very clear. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Just about another minute or two, we'll start the common council meeting.
Anything new? We got a little sun.
It's just windburn, actually. Pardon me? Oh, no problem, I'll wait.
No, I can tell a difference in approach. So,
Because if I get a call for one more dollar.
For the,
It's odd. Well, and you're right. We need to set some policies that would be beneficial to the next councils too. Like, are we going to deal with the plurality of the
do it too
majority? Are we
soon,
going to follow
but now
Robert's
we have
rules? Are we going to do a policy of our own?
Yeah, you got a lot of.
Okay, thank you.
Are you wrapped?
but, it isn't.
No, you don't have to turn it. It's fine, it's fine. It's just it.
If you'd call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak.
Present.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Here.
Alderman Ellis.
Here.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Alderman Douglas.
Here.
I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of meeting minutes for April 16th, 2004.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On to comments and suggestions from citizens. We're going to start off, Mr. Duffy, if you'd introduce our guest from the Waukesha County Center for Growth presentation, please.
As we discussed during the budget process, obviously, we have partnered with the Waukesha County Center for Growth. One of the things the council asked is for them to do periodic updates for us. This year, we planned 2 of them, so we wanted to make sure that we gave that opportunity. I'll introduce Therese Thill, who's the Executive Director of the Waukesha County Center for Growth.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to present this evening. I appreciate it. I know you have a long day. Bob, do we do this way? There we go. That'll work. So a quick introduction of myself, as I'm new to the Waukesha County Center for Growth. I've been here about 7 months now.
Teresa, can you speak a little closer to the microphone? Thank you.
Yeah, this better?
That's much better.
Wonderful. Okay, so a quick introduction of myself, as I'm relatively new to the Center for Growth. I've been here for about 7 months now. I have 25 plus years in economic development with a focus on business retention and expansion. I've also done national and international business attraction in Europe and Asia. I have about $2.6 billion in new capital under my belt as far as projects that I've personally worked on, and more than 10,000 new jobs. I've worked with companies like Dow Chemical and Gerber Baby Food, and much smaller international firms and smaller homegrown firms as well. I have experience working at the county level, at the state, regional agencies in Michigan, Arizona, Illinois, and now Wisconsin. I was recognized in 2018 as the MEDA, and that's the Michigan Economic Developers Association, Economic Developer of the Year, very, very highly prized. And I also received certification as a Master Economic Development Practitioner in May of 2020. I like to think my superpower is connections. I can hear somebody is looking for a batch food manufacturer and find out who I can connect them to. So that is my superpower, is to make those connections to get results for companies, because our overall goal is to keep them growing here in Waukesha County. I get asked why Waukesha. So I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan for many years. My boss retired after 30 years. New leadership, brought in a new leadership team, not surprising. In looking for a new position, I decided that I am a Midwesterner. I wanted to stay here in the Midwest. I liked an agency that has a regional focus, but is a nonprofit itself, so it's not constrained, so to speak, by city or state or county government. And I also have to admit that I'm a passionate sailor, so being close to Lake Michigan was also a priority. I'd like to mention very quickly our board of directors, which I think has great depth and breadth, and I'd also like to take a minute to introduce a couple of those members who are kind enough to join me here tonight. So I have Tim Schneider, the president and CEO of Bank 5-9 in the audience. He's a current board member. Nate Zastro, executive vice president and chief financial officer from Bank 5-9 is joining us tonight. He's a former board member. Marquise Warren, vice president of manufacturing for Century Equipment Corp. Is here, as well as Amanda Payne, the incoming president of WCBA, and she'll be joining the board as an ex officio in July. So our work at the WCCG is built around 4 pillars of our business growth strategy, which we're currently updating. We're looking at 4 strategic outcomes. The first is around retaining, launching, expanding, and attracting primary employers in Waukesha County. And a primary employer is one that sells their product or service outside of the area and therefore brings in new money. It kind of separates our swim lane, so to speak, from companies that are secondary employers, like your hairdresser, your restaurant, your baker. Very important to the ecosystem, but just not in our swim lane. We focus on the primary employers. Our second pillar is the economic development resource for communities. So communities like Economowalk are our investors, and they have charged us with providing technical support and kind of acting as a collaborative agent for those entities. The third strategic outcome that we're working on is to drive workforce solutions for businesses and communities. I'm sure if you're out talking to any business owner, primary, secondary employer, the first thing you're going to hear is they're having talent problems. Finding, retaining talent is the #1 issue. And the fourth strategic outcome that we work on is to promote the use and opportunities to invest in the Grow Fund. And we have a whole nother slide on the Grow Fund, so I'll be delighted to tell you a little bit more about that. The presentation here is built around these 4 pillars. So we're going to start with that #1 pillar around retaining, attracting companies. So these are our 2024 metrics. One of the first things I did when I came to the organization, I said, okay, if you don't measure it, you're not really responsible for it. So let's refine our measurements. And so we have now goals for the year around a project, and a project is a business expansion. It would be purchasing land, for example, purchasing equipment. It could be a new company coming into the area. Those are our projects. Projects bring with them new jobs, which obviously add new payroll, and retained jobs count as well, because it's also important to retain those employees. And capital investment, again, is capital investment that the company creates, and this, of course, generates tax dollars and income for Conomowoc. So these are our goals. I share these with the board every meeting, and I share them with Bob and our other economic development partners. So our second line of measures are our business retention visits, talent assists. Well, you know what, let me back up here for a quick second, right? Because I do want to explain, oops, oh, Bob. Now I'm all lost. Do you know how to make this go back? Yeah, that didn't work. One more? All right, excellent. Okay. So I've defined a project. We do expect to see some activity soon from a couple of Grow Fund loans that are going to be closing. And this is where I like to remind people, as I'm showing them these lovely big goose eggs, that projects can take anywhere from 8 months to 36 months. I worked on a project with Dicastal, a large Chinese company that ended up creating 500 jobs. It took 36 months. The consultant had 2 children during that time frame. So this is a long-term prospect. I just want to warn you and kind of set the stage that this is how long these things take. I'll dive into the pipeline that feeds these top-line metrics in a little later slide, but I also want to set the field and remind you that we're coming out of a global pandemic where companies were struggling to stay open. And during that time frame, WCCG pivoted from our traditional work of business attraction and business retention to helping these companies stay open, right? So we became one of the lead providers through the state for business bounce back grants, right? So as we pivot back towards our more traditional work, I expect to see our activity coming up. But we did, have a pipeline in the ready when I was first started here, and we've got that cleaned up, and again, a little more on that later. Okay, so our second line metrics, our business retention visits, BRE visits. So again, this is a one-on-one meeting with our primary employers, basically to chat and find out what are your pinch points, what challenges do you see, what opportunities do you see, what kind of input do you have for your local partners at the state and at the educational level. Based on my experience in economic development, I'm usually able to provide some resources to them, and those resources are generally reflected in what you'll see an assist. So we have talent assists and business development assists that we're counting. And an assist is a value add to a company that they would not have known of or been able to access before our meeting. Business assists are the way that I tell the story of our economic development work kind of between the great big milestones of the projects. So an example would be Bruno Independent Living, one of the business retention visits that we did with Bob and the mayor a couple of weeks ago. We were talking, they were explaining how they're planning to grow through exporting, and I was just chatting, said, hey, have you explored a foreign trade zone designation for your warehouse? I said, no, hadn't looked into that. Well, it's an opportunity for you to manage how taxes are applied to your product as it moves in and out of this particular trade zone. It's a great way to manage cash. Here is a simple phone call, 20 minutes, she'll be able to tell you whether this is a good fit for you or not. So that's a great opportunity to provide value add to the company and to capture that as a business development assists. We also count Startup Connections. We have a great relationship with the Small Business Development Center here, and we use those folks as well. So again, we're at 12 business retention visits for the year, and our goal is 50. Again, this is a metric that we look at very closely, measure very closely, and I share this with my board at our regular meetings. So we were very successful last year, and we were able to complete 54 business retention visits. Our breakdown of municipalities that we served are there. We had 3 done in Oconomowoc. Most of them are in manufacturing, as you can see, because we have such a heavy manufacturing base here in the county. For 2024, I've worked with Bob, and he's identified 5 companies that he would like to visit. 1 has been completed so far, and 1's in scheduling. The process is we schedule the visit and invite the Economic Development Director and the Mayor, again, for that conversation of what are your pinch points, how can we help? Here are some resources to help you continue to grow. It's very important that the company knows basically there's somebody on their side. Now, feeding those top-line metrics again is the project pipeline. And these are companies that are considering expanding or moving into the area. We have a current active pipeline of 21 projects. That is up from 7 projects in February. We received 2 new requests for information from our partner M7. M7 is the entity that covers the Milwaukee plus surrounding counties, and they do entirely just business attraction. The Waukesha County Center for Growth, our agency, is the only agency that's out there doing business retention work, working with our partners at the M7. We got 2 new RFIs for companies looking at the area. And I also want to make sure that you realize that I'm actively promoting Oconomowoc sites and Oconomowoc assets for any of these companies that are looking for the area. We do have 1 active project looking at Oconomowoc. And I've been working with Bob on that pretty closely. On the small business development side, through our partners at the SBDC, these are results from January, the beginning of the year, till April. We have a total of 149 clients served. 5 of those are specifically from the city of Oconomowoc, and that they have received 34 plus counseling hours. They do fabulous work around helping small companies prepare to talk to a bank, develop a marketing plan, access legal help. All of these things are just great resources that are confidential and cost-free for small companies. So whenever I can promote these very successful resources, we're always able to partner with the SBDC. So our second pillar is municipal engagement. And again, since I came on board, I've met with all of our municipal investors and had community tours. Love the fact that Bob gave me about a 2.5-hour tour. We've identified BRE targets for all the communities and have started to schedule those. We also convene the Economic Developers Roundtable quarterly, and this is a forum for all of my economic development partners to get together to share best practices, to explore topics of interest, to provide updates, and to kind of do some peer-to-peer networking, right? To understand, here is a problem I've run into, how are you solving this? This is a great way to support our local communities. One of the things that they all said when I came on board and asked, so what do you want from our organization? What do you want from CCG? They said, we want better transparency, particularly around projects, as far as we can share, because when we get projects, they're often under a code name, so we don't know the company name, but we'll share as much as we possibly can. They want regular communication and technical support. And a great example of technical support is our last speaker at the Economic Developer Roundtable was the new president and CEO of the State Housing Agency, WHEDA. So he came in and he talked about the 4 new housing programs that are available now to our economic development partners and other developers. So I think that was a very, very helpful meeting. So I'm also the liaison to our workforce development partners, as well as to the regional partners in the area who do business attraction, who work for the state agency and provide those financial tools, right? So Bob is my Oconomowoc expert, and my role is to have the Rolodex to know everyone else and know all the other tools out there. One of the other services that we provide to our local communities is an updated community profile. Those are in the works, and we're expected to have those done by midsummer this year. The third pillar of our work is talent development, traction, and retention. We partner with the Waukesha Business Alliance to offer exposure opportunities for students and educators to connect with the business community. Each year, our team works with the Oconomowoc School District to ensure that industries have the chance to plug into the talent at OHS. These connections can be made through scheduled programming seen on the screen or through relationships between the staff and our team. Very specific to Oconomowoc, this past year, we partnered with OHS to host a program, Networking with Students, networking businesses with students. As seen in the bottom picture, students are connecting with the business community from all industries. This event, now known as a best practice, hosted over 50 business leaders and gave them an opportunity to speak to local students. One of the other issues we hear from most employers is challenges around transportation, particularly out here in Oconomowoc where the bus system doesn't come. So we've been working on identifying some resources to that and identifying some problems around that. To that end, in February, we held a roundtable conversation in Oconomowoc and had a joint meeting with several members from the Pabst Farm Corporate Center, hosted by Lake County Manufacturing and Century Equipment. So this was an opportunity for them to come together with some resources from Commute Enterprise, from WizPack, and from FlexRide to share some of their concerns and problems, and we did a little problem solving. So as a result of that, we have a couple of manufacturers from the corporate park who are working together with Commute Enterprise to identify potential routes that their employees can take advantage of a Commute Enterprise van. Individually, that probably wouldn't work, but together we will have enough individuals to have a van. So it's a great solution that WCCG and WCBA, the Business Alliance, brought forward as a solution for our primary employers. So the fourth pillar, the GROW Fund, is a revolving loan fund, a gap financing tool to assist business and workforce housing projects. The GROW Fund complements lead lenders and other programs in a total financial structure. The fund offers competitive interest rates, fixed rate availability, flexible amortization to match project terms, gap financing during construction, expansion, or on equipment. We are now up to $11 million. The county put in another $4.5 million at the beginning of this year. So a total commitment from them from $9 million. We got $350,000 from two foundations, and Town Bank, Bank 5-9, BMO Harris, and Johnson Bank also participate in that. We currently have 13 loans in the portfolio, totaling $6.44 million. And I hope we'll have 2 more in there soon. Right now, the portfolio has 10 loans in real estate, 3 for equipment, 1 for a building expansion, 9 are for commercial, 5 in manufacturing. We have a nice representation throughout the county, and I'm very much looking forward to getting Oconomowoc up there. All of these loan recipients have less than 100 employees. 2 of them are women-owned, and 2 of them are owned by people of color. So again, I think we have a very nice representation. So what's on the agenda for WCCG for 2024? So one of the highlights is, again, now that we have our organizational metrics established, is to keep track of those and make sure that we are telling the full story of the work that we're doing out in the community, to update the business growth strategy to make sure we're on track. For the business retention pillar, we'll continue to target business retention primary employers with our municipal partners and implement and measure our business assists. On the municipal engagement side, we are updating our online community profiles. And again, making sure that we are providing transparent communications on the talent development, retention, and attraction side. I have been chosen as a champion for the state's Talent Attraction Initiative, Live Forward Wisconsin. We'll have an update on this coming forward, Bob, at one of our next meetings. This is an initiative by the state to bring individuals back to Wisconsin, to attract them to Wisconsin. Check out the website, Live Forward Wisconsin, if you haven't seen it yet. The state now has a website up. They've got kind of the back mechanics built, so to speak. So when somebody goes to the website, checks the box that they're interested in connecting with someone from Wisconsin, they get connected to a local champion. I'm one of those champions. So my role then is to help them make connections, help them get sticky. So for example, I'm speaking to a young man who is currently in Iowa. He is planning to come to Wisconsin soon. He's interested in the IT industry. So I connected him with a couple of folks in the IT industry just to talk about, what is it like here? What is the market like? Is it going to be easy for him to find a job? What generally are the pay ranges? Is that enough to get an apartment with? So just kind of an advocate for the individual, champion for the individual, champion for the area as well. On the Grow Fund, of course, we're always looking to secure additional investment into the Grow Fund and additional partners to utilize those Grow Fund dollars. Marquise, if I could ask you to come up and say a minute or two. I told you I had a picture.
So I'm Marquise Warren. I'm the Vice President of Manufacturing out at Century Equipment. Century Equipment is in the Pass Farm area. We've been in business going on 100 years next year. I've been employed there for 17 of those years. So I actually started off as a co-op student at Marquette University. Didn't even know how to pronounce Oconomowoc until I first came out here and have been here ever since. So I'm originally from northwest suburb of Chicago, and I'm one of those people that kind of stuck in the area. So the benefits that we've seen through WCCG are invaluable. Right now, we talked about employee retention and attraction, and they've helped us kind of solve some of those complex problems. We do the Schools to Skills tours where we can try to attract students early on, as well as the Commute Through Enterprise and some other initiatives. So I'm on the board. I see the value. It's definitely something that we're going to continue to be invested in as a company, and we're hoping that you'll be invested in it as a city.
Marquise, I have an important question to ask you.
Sure.
Are you a Packer fan?
Is that gonna make me come on the record and say that no, I am not a Packers fan? I'm a Bears fan, unfortunately.
No, it's fortunate. It's my
Or fortunately, however you want to look at it, if you're a Packers fan and you beat up on us every year. So.
And I did go to one of the functions at Century. It's quite an impressive company, and got the tour of the facility, and it's really wonderful having you in the community.
Yeah, definitely. You should
Thank
stop
you.
back out.
Thank you. And so our timing, I think, is good, as I understand that you're including priorities for your budget right now. And our tab for support is about $12,300. I think that's an excellent return on your investment, considering that the work we do, the connections we're making to continue the growth of your tax base, which of course supports your community here. So, and I hope that you will continue to support us in 2025.
Do we have any questions from council? Thank you for the presentation and the update. We really appreciate you coming in. Any questions or comments from council? Alderman Shellpepper.
Go ahead, you go first.
No, please go, Chaz.
I'm going to speak more generally. I was going to ask generally, like, what are your pain points, right? You're speaking about pinch points or pain points. What are the issues you're having with attracting more business to Waukesha County? I mean, what are the issues you're having on that? And then, in addition to that, what are the issues you're finding for your own success, for Waukesha County Center for Growth success? What's getting in the way of you, being more effective in Oconomowoc, generally overall? So those pieces, and then what's the actual connection with the Waukesha County Business Alliance, and how do you guys fit in with that? Because I haven't really been able to figure that one out. So 3 different questions.
Okay, let's start at the top. Our key challenge in attracting companies into the county or into Oconomowoc from another state or another country is basically the availability of land. Quite frankly, we have just a handful of available sites. Labor shortages are shortage everywhere. We can offset those arguments by pointing out the incredible connections we have to our technical colleges, the absolutely incredible feeder system we have from the high schools up. We've got apprenticeships, we've got schools to skills, got that covered. I can make that argument in my sleep. But the availability of suitable sites, anything over 20 acres, here is very, very difficult to get your hands on, very difficult to find, compared to Kenosha, Racine, compared to Michigan, Illinois, right? Because generally we're competing regionally at least for something like that. So site availability is the biggest challenge right now. Second question that you had is, what are my biggest barriers to growth at WCCG? Knock on wood, it's been fairly smooth sailing. I've got a terrific team to work at WCBA. Funding is, of course, an issue, so with more dollars, I could do more. I would love to be able to hire an additional person to focus on business retention work. I think that would give us organizationally and as various communities quite a big bang for their buck. Talking to my investor communities, a lot of them are also struggling with attracting retail. So that might be another area that if I had dollars for an additional person, they might be able to look a little bit more into that. Let's see, so and then the third question you had was, what was the relationship with WCBA and WCCG? I'm getting acronyms down. So I consider us sister organizations. We're two separate organizations. We're a 501c3. I have my own board and my own funding structure. I am literally housed within the WCBA. I'm in between Amanda and Robin over there. I pay them a stipend, and for that I get my rent, I get IT support, I get marketing support, I get HR support, I get a lot of other things. I have access to their database, so it's a very synergistic relationship where, I've got great partners, I've got a great team. Amanda and Suzanne and Robin know the manufacturing community here like the back of their hand, and that's been an incredible help. Their credibility and their relationship in the community has also been an incredible benefit.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments from Alderman Rozak?
I do. It's Therese.
Yes.
So a couple quick questions. Just going through some of your slides and some of the things I read in there. You've got these BRE visits, business retention visits. Does that mean that businesses were intending to leave, or is this just you're visiting them to say hi?
So I want to make a difference. It's not necessarily we're visiting them just to say hi, right? Because this is very important business intelligence that we get out of these business retention visits. So when you are out talking to your companies, right, what you'll hear, particularly you probably hear this too in your position, is they will hear that there's a large company that came into town that got all kinds of incentives, because that's what plays in the paper. And they think, I've been a taxpayer here for 20 years. I've been employing so many people here. I've been a good steward in this community, and nobody's doing anything for me. So the purpose of the business retention visit is indeed to help the company stay here, to understand what their pinch points are, what their opportunities are, and to help them stay sticky here, because we want them to stay here in the local community.
But they're not necessarily leaving. So we're calling them business retention, but it's not like they called you and said, hey, look, we're going to pack up and go to Iowa, so come meet with me to keep me to stay. I mean, these are just generally business meetings hoping that they stay, right?
We try to get in front of anybody, right? So obviously if one of my multipliers, one of my banker colleagues or one of my accountant colleagues or legal colleagues hears of a company that is looking to expand, and again, one of the biggest challenges we have here in Waukesha County is lack of land and buildings. So our industrial inventory, by the way, has less than a 2% vacancy rate. So if your local tool and die company at the end of the street needs to expand, we want them to expand here in Oconomowoc, and if you can't find anything in Oconomowoc, we want them to stay in the county, in the state. We don't want them to go into Texas. So my first 5 business retention visits with WCBA, they set them up. 4 of the companies were expanding in Texas. They weren't even thinking about Wisconsin. They were going to expand in Texas because that's where they could find the workforce and the land.
Well, and they don't have, taxes.
Right, and they also
They
have
don't have
really,
no income tax.
right, and really poor power infrastructure, right? So, everything's a trade-off.
Yeah. So then the other thing, and I've just got a few questions. The other thing you have in there is the business assists. Those are meetings where you give people information. Would you agree that is can be tough to quantify. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why it's just a tick mark,
okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
You talked about primary employers. What would you consider a primary employer? Someone that employs more than a certain amount of people? You didn't really well define that initially.
No, a primary employer is one who sells their product or service out of the area. So Century Equipment is a primary employer. It could be a marketing or PR firm that does websites for a company in Texas or Ohio. So anyone that sells sells their product outside of the area and brings in new dollars.
And so you said that's the Waukesha County Business Alliance, County Center for Growth's primary focus is these primary employers,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But, you know, you look at a city like Economowoc, I mean, we have some primary employers, but we have a lot of I don't know what else you would call them, non-primary employers.
We call them secondary employers.
Okay, to me, that seems a little derogatory towards those folks. I mean, a person cutting hair is just as important as, you know, someone manufacturing a widget and selling it in China. To me, for me daily, going to the grocery store, getting a haircut, getting my car washed, getting brakes put on, those are the things I need daily. I'll buy whatever I need from Walmart. I don't, it just seems to me that we're picking and choosing who we're going to support. And I don't want this to go real long, so I just wanted to make that general comment.
And if I can respond, there's absolutely a reason why we focus on primary employers. It's because of what's called the multiplier effect. So again, I'm going to use manufacturing as an example. So a manufacturing job will create at least 2.6 additional jobs for every manufacturing job. So that job, because of the wages, because of the associated benefits, will support these additional secondary jobs, like the grocer and the hairdresser and the florist. That's why we focus on primary employers, because they have larger multipliers.
You also then had the 21 active business expansion / attractions in your slideshow. Also not defined. What is business expansion of a primary employer, not a secondary employer?
Yes.
So if we had a large grocer that wanted to expand, we wouldn't consider that in your expansion?
So if we had a large grocer that wanted to expand, yeah, I would absolutely work with them to help them expand in the area if they were interested. But again, that's not something I would actively pursue.
So, just generally, this is just my commentary on this. We voted this out of the budget last year. There was a donation to keep it in the budget. I personally think this should have been a budget amendment, but it just moved on anyway. I'm very concerned about the way this is set up for the county. You have the Center for Growth, and Chaz asked a good question on the Waukesha County Business Alliance too, is like a separate entity housed in the same location, in my head kind of doing some similar things. Why is there not just one county organization doing all of this combined together, pooling those resources, and trying to search for some type of self-funding mechanism? Why do we have to keep funding this?
Amanda, do you want to address the history of why the two organizations came up?
Absolutely, thank you. Amanda Payne, I'm the incoming president and CEO for the Waukesha County Business Alliance. It's a good question, and I would say, I've been at the Alliance for almost 12 years now, which predates the creation of the Center for Growth, and so I have had the opportunity to experience the model in both ways. So prior to the Center for Growth, there was a completely separate economic development entity for Waukesha County. Had no affiliation with the Waukesha County Business Alliance, which is a county chamber of commerce. We didn't work together. There was no collaboration. I think it was ineffective. That organization ended up folding, closing its doors. It's challenging to be a countywide organization with a staff of one to create the business connections throughout all 37 municipalities and particularly focused on these important communities, and to do that as a staff of one. And so, I can say, seeing now the collaboration that we have between the two organizations, to Teresa's point, they're a separate entity, they have a separate board of directors, but the ability for us to work back and forth constantly to be able to say, hey, I met with this Business Alliance member, these are some of the challenges that they raised. They're not things that we're doing as a Chamber of Commerce. They're things that Teresa's doing as an economic development organization. But to be able to share those resources in one office, I think is incredibly efficient for the county. We get far more done.
So, yeah, to my point, and I'm not gonna belabor this, but it sounds like they should be one organization, you know, instead of multi-functioning, kind of different arms. But that's maybe above my pay grade. Is there a point in time where WCCG will become self-funding or be fully funded by the county so that we don't have this piecemeal payment plans from some communities? I mean, so we're funding this program. We have been funding this for years. We're gonna, I guess, put it in the budget again this year. But there are communities that don't fund it. But they're getting benefits, obviously, from the economic development that comes in, whether it's in their neighborhood or it's across the street from them, right?
One of the benefits of regional economic development, you know, and the communities that don't fund us are generally very, very small, right? So 1 or 2 Main Street villages are primarily the ones that don't fund us. And you asked about one of our funding sources. So we have 2 funding sources. One is our municipal investors, and the second is the Grow Fund, again, which is up to about $11 million. So we are able to pull some interest income off the Grow Fund as a source of income for the entity. And we are hoping that as we continue to grow that and deploy those dollars, that generates additional dollars, you know, to allow us to grow that way. And I also want to mention, again, one of the benefits of the separation of the 2 organizations is the Chamber of Commerce is an entity that advocates, so they have a full-time lobbyist on their position, and we, as a 501c3, as a nonprofit, we are then in a position to be able to handle and manage grants should that opportunity come up, whereas they, as a 501c6, do not have that ability.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Alderman Spiegelberg.
I just want to say thank you for coming tonight. For the 6 years that I've been on council, we've been looking for information like you brought tonight to, you know, the facts, the metrics, the benefits that we get, and really trying to more specifically present that to us as far as what we're getting for our investment here. So I wanted to thank you for coming tonight. I thought the presentation was very helpful and very informative.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Last comment, sorry to belabor this, but again, who would you consider your competitors? I mean, do you guys have competitors? Are there other, you know, is this a common thing that we're doing right here in Waukesha County?
So my competitors, I would say, you know, closest competitors would be Racine and Kenosha. We are the only entity doing this type of work within the county, so we don't have any
I didn't mean like
specific-
within the county, I meant within the state. I mean, so does Racine and Kenosha have something similar to what you guys have?
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah, Kenosha, for example, has a much, much larger organization. Cabo covers multiple counties and has a very large budget.
So maybe we might be at some sort of qualitative disadvantage too if we're not. I'm
Oh,
not saying as a
absolutely. If you're
city,
not at
but
the table?
what you
Oh, my
do.
gosh.
I mean, because it seems like this is kind of commonplace, you know, we're competing for business.
Just one other comment on that, kind of from a historical perspective. When we set up the framework for the Center for Growth, we did an analysis around the state and around the country for communities that are similar to Waukesha County. And part of the reason that we settled on the structure that we have with the relationship between the Business Alliance and the Center for Growth is because that was one of the core common things that we saw in successful organizations was a real good collaboration between the Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Organization. So it's a very standard practice for it to be set up that way. And when we analyzed similar counties around the country to Waukesha County, they were structured that way, the ones that are successful. And, to Teresa's point, they won't ever be the same entity. One is a C3 and one is a C6. They do different things. But the collaborative model is the successful model. That is absolutely the trend on how you want to tackle economic development. So.
I only have one
Alderman
last
Rosen,
comment.
go ahead.
I do agree with Karen that there was more information provided than we probably have had in the last 6 years, and I do appreciate that. Our budget cycle, I think we vote in our budgets usually in October. I haven't heard a lot in this presentation, real specific stuff for Economwalk, what you're doing for us lately. You said there's one active project and there were some visits. And again, the visits and the BRE thing to me is very, it's ether stuff, it's, I made a visit, okay, who cares? Did you actually keep a business that was leaving or did you just meet with people? I would like to know, closer to budget cycle, have some report from you guys. was this project that you were engaging in effective? Did you get someone to come here and bring primary employment here and bring in 50 employees? Did you land a business? Did you actually help us? I mean, are we getting our money's worth over these 6-7 years?
Yeah, I would be delighted to come back and report. Just a caveat that, again, the projects are project names, so I can't share details on what the companies are.
No, but you could share, you could share, this is what they're looking to do, or
Right.
they're in contract for some land. It's
Yep.
gonna be 50 to 60 employees, you know, whatever. You know, if
Absolutely.
there's things that are confidential or, you know, you're not allowed to speak about, obviously, we understand that. Whoa.
We got to go downstairs?
How
Thank you.
appropriate.
That was, wow. Yeah,
Got a
you're
lot of
done.
cell phones here.
But yes, I'd be happy to come back and share the details possible.
Tell us what to do.
Continue on.
Continue on? Okay. Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it. And also a big thank you to Bank 59 for their support of the city of Oconomowoc on this and many other items in the city. Bob, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, as I said, I think the plan is to try to come back in September and be able to share some of the additional information. As I've tried to share through the budget process, right, some of it becomes, you know, we can't share some of the specifics of who we're looking for. I think Oconomowoc's on the verge of quite a bit of activity happening, given where we are. As you heard what Therese said, there's a very low amount of available space in the county. And I think we are on the verge of it's our time, because we do have some speculative development moving forward in the community, as well as some land to be able to support that business growth.
Yep. Then just as a follow-up on the business retention visits, I did one, and if anybody would like to talk to me about it at another time, I'm happy to share the pros and cons of those business visits. But overall, I thought it was extremely successful. I learned a lot, and it's amazing when we have an incredible company and the owner of the company says, geez, I've never had a mayor ever come and visit me. And to build that relationship of how, you know, things that they maybe want to do in the city. So thank you for inviting me. I appreciated that and happy to share it with council. Chief and Mark will continue to track the tornado warnings in the area and will instruct us whether we need to go downstairs.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Just one comment on that. I think that, I mean, I think I appreciate the metrics. I think it's really great. You're not measuring, you're not accountable. I think that Oconomowoc we're unique in that we do have some of the land. We have probably the fastest growing employee base out here with the number of new homes and apartments that are going up. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see if you can provide us something concrete. But I do think our position here is one of the few landlocked communities. So it'll be interesting. I think there's a good chance for success just because of what we're building here, the available build sites that we do have in the Commerce Park and in Paps Farms, and retail that would be primary that could go into the you know, the various spots. So I'm encouraged.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our next item. We are still in the comments section, and so we do have one blue card. So Pete Holmes, if you'd like to come up and share your comments and thoughts with the city and with the council. This is a one-way discussion where you share your thoughts. You have 3 minutes, and then as you're getting closer, getting over, I'll just ask you to kind of close it up. So
Okay,
thank you for
Mr.
coming and
Mayor.
sharing your thoughts.
My name is Pete Holmes. I reside at 237 Shore Circle. My comments tonight are I'm not going to add to the green space of Oconomowoc, and I'm not going to be able to bring new jobs. But I'd like to think that my comments have some merit here in the city. And I've discussed this with both of my aldermen, or alderpersons, excuse me, from my district. My comments tonight will relate to the unnecessary and unsafe use of Oconomowoc Parkway as a truck route for dirt, crushed stone, and concrete to the west entrance of Arrowwood subdivision. This route goes past a Lake Country Trail twice, a senior housing complex, 2 established neighborhoods being Lake Ridge and Lake Ridge West, as well as an intermediate school. There have been dump trucks moving material at the same time parents are taking their kids to school in the morning and when they pick them up in the early afternoon, many times in excess of the posted 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. My view of this situation, again, has been relayed to both of my alderpersons, but Alderman Ellis responded, and I quote, "It may be the route was approved by the county, I don't know. But be patient, this too shall get complete and look beautiful. The problem with that observation is that there are still 6 years and 263 more homes to be built in the Arrowwood subdivision. I don't have any idea of the wear and tear on the city streets, but it's something that should be explored.
I'm going to have you stop for just 1 second. You're hearing the sirens going off? That's for high winds and hail, not a tornado. So I've been informed we're safe and we can continue on.
Okay.
You have plenty of time, so I'm sorry to have interrupted
That's
you in the
fine.
middle, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable.
As a matter of information, I traveled from Silver Lake to the west entrance of the Arrowwood subdivision on Oconomowoc Parkway, and it's exactly 1 mile, and takes 2 minutes, 45 seconds to travel. I then went west on Valley Road from Silver Lake, that's County B-Boy, and it too was exactly 1 mile, but only took 1 minute, 55 seconds to travel to the subdivision entrance. A savings of 50 seconds, which equates to 1 minute, 35 seconds round trip to a dump truck driver. Not an earth-shattering amount, I'll agree, but one cannot overlook the safety factor in taking the Highway B route. However, I'm sure business that delivers construction materials to a work site might find that beneficial over the next 6 years, let alone 1 week. More importantly, these trucks don't have to cross the Lake Country Trail twice, because as we all know, everyone who uses the Lake Country Trail, such as dog walkers, bicycle riders, and joggers, stop at the stop signs on the trail to look both ways, right?
I'm there every morning, I stop.
That exposure will only increase when the grade schools let out for summer. I don't believe when city leaders are giving developers the autonomy to put up new developments that quality of life issues suddenly don't matter to those homeowners who have already established their lives in Oconomowoc, many who have lived here for decades. I've lived here for 19 years. I cannot imagine why anyone on this council or the city leaders would turn a blind eye to the potential unsafe movement of heavy dump and cement trucks in a residential neighborhood. Let's not this happen by restricting construction traffic to the route of a county highway, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. And thank you for staying a little longer as we were getting a little delayed. Do we have any other questions or comments from anybody in the audience? Any further blue cards? Chief, are we still good? We are good. We're going to move on to our committee reports. Protection and Welfare, consider act on Resolution 24-R3188, granting new 2023 to 2024 reserve Class B intoxicating liquor fermented malt beverage to Gabriela Taqueria, or Gabriela's Taqueria and Bar. Ms. Conan.
Thank you, Mayor. The city has received an application for a full Class B intoxicating liquor fermented malt beverage license from Gabriel's Taqueria. Gabriel was in attendance at the Protection and Welfare Committee meeting. He answered a question or two. They are open for business currently. He has opened a brick and mortar. He does have a food truck here in the city, several food trucks. Their brick and mortar is at 126 North Main. They are currently open, they have full occupancy, and they are serving food only. If council grants them the reserve Class B license, then they will start serving the alcohol on May 8th. They do meet all state statute and Chapter 12 requirements, and the license, again, is a reserve license, and that has an initial fee of $10,000. The city has 10 reserves, so if this is issued, we would have 9 left.
Comments or questions from council? Like to entertain a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any further questions, comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak?
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth?
Aye.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
Alderman Mulder?
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper?
Aye.
Alderman Maroney?
Aye.
Alderman Douglas?
Aye.
Next item, consider act on Resolution 24-R3189, granting the new 2023-24 reserve Class B intoxicating liquor fermented malt beverage to Montbougie Inn LLC, that's formerly the Inn at Pine Terrace.
What was
And I-
that, what was that thing again? Can you say that one more time?
No, it was really
Oh.
bad. So formerly the Inn at Pine Terrace, but that was good. Ms. Conan.
Thank you, Mayor. The owner of the newly acquired Mon Bijou is here in the audience, just so you are aware. He, of course, was at the Protection and Welfare Committee meeting, and he did answer questions. This is a new license. It is also a reserve Class B license that is being applied for. The property is located at 351 East Lisbon Road. The final inspection for occupancy was completed on May 2nd, and it has been approved. The applicant meets all Chapter 12 and state statute requirements. At this time, the applicant is not serving food because there is not a grease trap that has been installed, but the owner is looking to do that, and of course, before serving food, it would need to be approved. But that does not have any bearing on the license, just letting you know that. Again, the initial fee for this license is $10,000, and if it is granted this evening, the city would have 8 reserve licenses left, and we are recommending approval.
Questions or comments from council? Alderman Rozak?
Yeah, just briefly, I raised a few concerns during the meeting. I was able to talk to Mr. Brisk after the Protection and Welfare Committee meeting. Ultimately, I do think we have to be cautious with these. We did run into a situation 5 or 6 years ago where we were out of liquor licenses. I don't think we're facing that now. I do think he's got a unique property there and a unique situation that I hope, and maybe, Joe, you can bring some light to kind of some of your ideas and concepts there, or whatever you're willing to share. But I think I expressed my concerns to you after the meeting about, you probably would be the only business in the entire city that has a full liquor license, but it would not open to the public in some fashion.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and I respect,
If you'd identify you for the record,
Sure.
please.
Joe Brisk, my wife Catherine and I just bought the old Inn at Pine Terrace, which is now called Mon Bijou Inn. So, what our initial thrust in getting a liquor license, we want to make this an experience. That building has a lot of history. It's 145 years old. Back in the day, the Shuttlers used to open it up for the whole city to come and gather on Sundays.
You can do that.
Yeah, well, we'd like to do it on a smaller scale. We're going to start with trying to make it more of a place where people in Lake Country will go to celebrate special events. So if it's your anniversary, Mon Bijou is my jewel. It was a promise made from a husband to a wife of a home he wanted to build for her. And we would like to make this a place where people come to gather to celebrate special events here in Lake Country. So if having a liquor license would enable us to be able to, if you come here to celebrate your anniversary, we can have a bottle of champagne sent to the room. If you wanted to have a mixed drink or whatever, we can provide that. So initially, it's providing a mini bar, drinks, bottles of wine to the room. Long-term, what we would like to be able to do, it's zoned, it's non-conforming. As long as it's an inn, it's a non-conforming zoning. I'm just taking it a step at a time. We're going to open, we're going to try and put our thumbprint on the place, and what we'd like to see happen is at some point be able to invite the public in and perhaps get the zoning changed to an appropriate zoning for that business, and be able, I don't want to be a large establishment, but I want to be something that, the neighbors in the condos, the neighbors in the adjoining subdivisions, if they're out on a walk, they can come by and get a lemonade or a beer and sit down and talk to the neighbors and talk to some of the people visiting Oconomowoc. I think, one of the things that drew us to Oconomowoc is the small town charm and the history and the architecture. And my wife and I, we bought the old Masonic Lodge and turned it back into a home. And we would like to, the Mon Bijou is already an ongoing business, but we would like to be able to make it economically viable to maintain a building of that size and expense, and it's an expense. And the liquor license, I think, helps us make it more of a special experience for guests. I have a long-term view that the liquor license, I think, is going to fit into, and nothing against any of the other businesses that are looking for liquor licenses down the road, but I think we are an important part of what makes Oconomowoc a special place and what draws people to stay, play, shop in Oconomowoc is that small town charm that I think Monbijou Inn is going to help foster.
Thank you for sharing your vision, and any other comments or questions for our applicant? Alderman Mulder.
Just a quick comment. I think that whether or not this liquor license and being able to sell the minibar, I think your vision is bigger than that, obviously. But, I mean, the inn is serving it's the only high-end establishment in the city. It serves a different kind of clientele, which directly, I think, supports all of our downtown restaurants and things like that. So she talked about the money multiplier before. I think a money multiplier here of your inn will do, continue to do great things for the city. And I think, finding ways to support you, will only help the whole community, so.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? I'd like to entertain a motion. You may sit down. Thank you, Mr. Brisk.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Finish the vote quick.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Entertain a motion to adjourn. We're going downstairs.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, please follow Chief. All in favor? Okay.
Nay.
which was postponed for a potential tornado for Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. We are on item 6A, number 3. Consider act on resolution 23-R3190, granting a 6-month Class B liquor license to RNS Hospitalities, also known as Buddy's Beach Bungalow. Ms. Conan.
Thank you, Mayor. We have received an application for a 6-month Class B license for Buddy's Beach Bungalow, as the mayor said. This is annual. Buddy's has a concession agreement with the city of Oconomowoc to operate at City Beach, and it took effect in 2020, and the contract expires in 2024, I believe in September. Buddy's will operate from Memorial Weekend until Labor Day weekend, and at that time, potentially sometime before the expiration of the contract, it would be brought back to, or a concession contract would be brought back to council for approval. But John Suttner does pay an annual fee as part of the contract agreement, and he meets all Chapter 12 and state statute licensing requirements, so we recommend approval.
Questions or comments from council? I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Next item, consider act on resolution 24-R3191, granting a new 2023-2024 Class B intoxicating liquor fermented malt beverage to Brilliance Entertainment, also known as the Valerie.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We received an application for a full Class B intoxicating liquor fermented malt beverage license from Brilliance Entertainment to operate as the Valerie in part of the Momentum Daycare Building, Suite 200 at 1281 Blue Ribbon Drive. The applicant has an event booked for June 8th, and they intend to open on May 20th to give tours and have some events. But their general contractor, well, they have not received occupancy yet. Their general contractor has scheduled the final occupancy inspection for May 17th. The applicant meets all state statute and Chapter 12 requirements with the exception of final occupancy, but that, according to our building inspector, things are on track, so that should occur. But I am looking to have council make approve it on the condition that the license not be issued until final occupancy is received, but no later than June 15th. I will also add that this license is one of the 8 special legislation licenses that Pabst Farms received as part of a capital improvement area, which was tax increment district number 3. They received 8. This license, if granted, would be the 4th license of the 8, so they would have 4 left. Peter Bell has agreed to transfer that license upon council granting it, and we recommend it.
Questions or comments? Like to entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
With the understanding that if she doesn't receive the final approval, that she has to come back in front of us.
And we have a second.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
On to utility committee reports. Consider act on resolution 24-R3192, awarding construction contract and budget amendment for the 2024 septage receiving station improvement project. Mr. Freeber.
We bid the septic receiving station project, and we had 3 bids, with Hunzinger Construction being the low bid of 913. This is 100,000 over my budget estimate of 2.8 million. So it would be a budget amendment. We can do the project, and it'll go along with our looking to be able to run net zero in the future as far as electric. It'll help out with our treatment processes.
Questions or comments for Mr. Freeber? Like to entertain a motion?
Rozak, so moved.
Second, Altman Cloth.
Any further comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
On to new business, consider act on resolution 24-R3193, approving cost share with the Oconomowoc Area School District for radar speed feedback signs in the Summit Elementary School Zone on Valley Road.
Thank you, Mayor. In your packet, I provided a little more information. I had a picture of what the pole looks like with the radar speed feedback sign on it. Summit School is right here. School zone starts at their property lines, and that's where they'd be placing the signs. The pedestrian crossing signs that I also referenced in there is at this intersection right here. Currently, they just have LEDs that flash around the perimeter of a sign, and they want to upgrade that to what's known as a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. This was the type of lights that we put up on Lake Drive a few years ago, where there was a lot of concerns with the traffic flying through and not stopping for pedestrians, and we've not heard any comments from them since we installed those, so I'm assuming that they're working well. But Jason Herzog and myself were meeting with both the county and the school system on things that we can do out here. We've been hearing from Alderman Rozak in the area, the speeds on Valley Road, as well as from others. The type of signage is where when you're driving up, it's going to tell you what your speed is. And so the signs for the school zone, the LED lights on that will flash only during the periods of the school zone, so in the morning drop-off and the afternoon pickup. Because if you have a sign that flashes 24/7, people stop seeing it. So they're just going to have it flash then, but the radar feedback sign will operate 24/7. So based on that, and speaking with the superintendent of the school, I said I could justify coming and standing in front of the council and requesting that we participate in the cost. We looked at paying part of the cost of the pole and the controllers and the mountings and 90% of the feedback, and I just kind of did a rough calculation of how much time is it working for the school zone, how much time not, and I came to the either 11,388 or 11,338. I can't remember exact. I don't have my paperwork in front of me, but that's a request that we would cost share with the OASD for this project. And it'll give us an opportunity to, I know like Alderman Shell Pepper has asked about these types of signs in the past, so this is going to give us an opportunity to put them in place. And then the nice thing is that Waukesha County went out and did a speed study, did a traffic study on this. We will ask them to do another one once they get the road resurfaced and the lights have been in for a while to see if there's any noticeable reduction in the speed out there. So that would also be helpful.
They're resurfacing Valley Road?
Yes.
They're not expanding it?
No.
Alderman Ellis?
Now, that's a county road, isn't it?
Correct.
Why are we paying for a county road?
So we, the speeds are here. They have no county, and the county's not going to pay for it. Right now, the school's got to pay the entire cost. For that. They signed the agreement. They have an agreement with Waukesha County that they're responsible for all the maintenance and everything on these. We're not part of that. But I did indicate that the radar feedback signs are going to give some benefit to us and to our police department with the speeds on that road. And so that's why I'm standing in front of you tonight asking for this cost share.
Alderman Altman Clough?
I wasn't finished.
You weren't finished?
No.
You guys talk faster.
Okay, exactly. Real quick, I'm just a little baffled because if it's a county sign and the schools are involved, I don't see why the city has to do anything.
We
at
don't
this point.
have to. This
It's
is
just
a
an option.
request. It's a
Okay.
request based on conversations that I had with the school, and I indicated that since the radar feedback signs are on 24/7, that I would request for cost share from the council.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Altman Clough?
I have two questions and a comment. So what budget would we be taking? Would this come out of the PD's budget?
No, so when we got ARPA funds
On page 29.
quite a while ago, it took us a while to spend those funds, so we gained interest on those, just under $100,000 in interest. And so this request would come out of those funds.
Okay. And then, kind of going off of what Kevin said about, why pay for this? And that was kind of my initial thought when I was reading over this. But then I was also thinking that, and now this was obviously before I was on council, but my kids went to Summit. It's been a long time since we've been there. But you look at that growth in that area, and that's not at the fault of the school district. That's at the fault of the city. So sharing in this, I do feel, is kind of the right thing to do. But my question for you, Chief, is when you have those signs that flash the speed, like, have there ever been studies on those? Like, do they encourage people to speed? Do they slow people down? Like,
The jury's out.
what was that?
The jury is still out
Are they?
if they're effective or not. It all depends in the area. It really does. But we're very interested to see what the results are going to be, because obviously there's some other areas in the city that we're looking at for possibly future locations. So, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to encourage speeding.
I don't-
Wait, Alderman
Very
Douglas?
rarely is it encouraging speed, especially during the times where we want the speed to be the lowest.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Chief, before you-
Alderman Douglas?
Is this the only one in the city that would
Correct.
be going up? You don't have any other ones?
correct.
So are they providing you with the software and everything to download from it?
We're still looking into that. I don't know if this one actually downloads or not on this one, so we're still
So the-
working on that.
6 or 7 that we have, we can download from all of them?
Correct.
And you can actually, to that topic, you can set a threshold and it goes black, and then you can also, some of them will then just start saying slow down. It won't give you the speed anymore.
Are those the permanent ones? Or,
Uh,
we have the movable ones that do all that, yes.
Yeah, so we have movable ones and permanent ones that do
Okay.
it, so.
Yeah.
But,
So, we're just waiting for what the exact product is.
yeah, I want to make sure it's just compatible with everything to download information, so.
Alderman Rozak?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is something we should probably share in the cost. I completely echo, I was actually thinking the same thing Alderman Ellis said. The county had $4.2 million to give to the Waukesha County Club for Growth in the last budget, but not enough for signs near a school and a residential area on a county highway. So maybe they need to get their priorities straight. But for us as the city, we have done a lot of the development out there. We've provided recs for Summit to build out there. It is a huge complaint for my constituents in that entire area. So if it helps and it saves a kid from getting run over, I think it probably makes sense for 11 grand, so.
Any other questions or comments from council? Alderman Mulder?
So I can tell you that those flashing beacons work, right? I mean, we walk our dog there, you push that button, they start slowing down quarter mile away, like they see that. So are you saying they won't be operable when it's not school? Is it by a button? So to operate the beacon, do you have to push a crosswalk button?
I don't know on the beacon on the crosswalk, but, so the signs at the school zones, so right by the property line, so
Yeah.
one here. So those signs say school zone 15 miles an hour. Those signs are,
Okay, beacon, yeah.
they're only gonna flash during the times when they want the people to be doing 15.
The beacon part, yep.
No, the lights
The
around.
lights.
And so there's 2 projects. There's
Yeah.
this one, and then there's this crosswalk.
Yeah,
And that's where
the
they're
beacon's gonna
updating
go.
those to the rapid rectangular
Right.
flashing.
And those are push button. Not on all the time.
Right,
but
correct.
Operable all the time.
Yes.
Sorry for being so difficult.
And that's 100% school cost. That's another $12,000 that they're spending on that we're not participating in.
Right. So I'm in support of this. I'm very interested to see that data because I know we've had requests in other parts of the city, and it'd be nice to definitively be able to tell constituents they don't work, or tell constituents we will seriously look into it, because everybody thinks everybody speeds everywhere all the time. and then
Except
speeds-
for in their neighborhoods.
Well, except when they're driving.
Except when they're driving.
Right. Anyway, that's it.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
One more. I wanted to ask Alderman Douglas, so you said the 6 that you have in Elm Grove, you have downloadable data on those? Or however many you have? And do you guys use the downloadable data? Do you use the data? And
Yeah, so.
has it been beneficial?
There's, yes, the downside is, when you put them up everywhere, they become just like a speed limit sign. So overuse, people get accustomed to them, they don't see them anymore. I'll stop people for speeding, like you just passed a sign, it literally told you to slow down, didn't even see it. But we do pull that data regularly, and then what Chief was talking about, I think, is the boxes that we can put up that people really don't see at all, that don't display anything, to just get speed on roadways. All that stuff we use to figure out where's a good traffic enforcement place to be. You know, so they are helpful.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Rozak, second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
All right.
Next up is consider act on resolution of necessity, 24-R3194, for acquisition of easements and restrictive covenants for the parcel at 1456 Summit Avenue. Attorney Riffle.
I think everybody here is aware of the never-ending saga involving acquisition and extinguishment of easements and restrictions that will enable us to completely redevelop the entire Olympia redevelopment area. We're in litigation with a property owner related to easements and restrictions on the strip mall that is on the corner of 67 and Pabst Road, or Olympia, what's a new road?
Olympia Fields Drive.
Olympia
Fields
Fields.
Drive. In the process of discovery and getting ready for trial, it came to our attention, because we are not the one that is necessarily driving elimination of all the restrictions here. We've been relying on others to give us information with regard to title information, that somehow, some way, there's another property, even though we've wiped out 11 properties up to this point, I believe, of the easements and restrictions that were involved, including, you know, all of the Basari properties and all of the all the properties. But there is one that's left that we were not aware of, and that is the Associated Bank. That happens to be owned by the same family that owns the property that we are in litigation with. And so, in order to avoid a duplicate trial, in concert with counsel for the Flemings, we thought it would be a good idea not to have two trials. And so the trial that was to have been starting the end of this month has been pushed off with the grace of the judge that's involved, so that we can go through this process to get rid of and eliminate the exact same restrictions, easements, and all of the warts that are on the title of this property that would inhibit redevelopment of all of the areas and allow us to place infrastructure, utilities, and stormwater features that are, you know, encumbered by these. This is a process that we start again. We will have to go out and get another appraisal that I'm quite confident will say that your property is not only not negatively valued or impacted value-wise, but it is actually worth twice as much as it was before. So I highly recommend and really request that you go ahead and get this process started so we can get going.
Questions or comments from council? Would like to entertain a motion.
Rozak, so moved.
Second.
Any further questions, comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder. Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Next up, I'm going to turn this over to our clerk, Diane Conan. We're going to do a re-election for the council vice president. When we did it 2 weeks ago, we did not have a majority vote per our city ordinance. We had a plurality vote, and so we're going to start the process over. I'll turn it over to you, Diane.
Thank you, Mayor. So with the start over, we will completely start over, and I will be looking for nominations for council vice president. And as we did with the our first go at this on May 6th, I will take motions and seconds.
So I'd like to entertain a motion for vice president of
She's
the
running
council.
this.
Oh, that's right, she is. I didn't hear anybody do anything.
So at this time, we will take the nomination
Thanks.
with a motion and a second.
I would like to,
Is there a question? Oh, okay, sorry.
I would like to nominate Karen Spiegelberg.
Okay. And do I have a second for that?
Second.
All right, thank you. Are there any other nominations?
Nominate Alderman Shellpepper.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
All righty. Any other nominations? I will ask again, are there any other nominations? There being no other nominations, the nominations are closed. In front of your stations, there are little voting tickets. If you would please write the candidate.
Did you give them like 5?
I did.
Okay, good.
I did. I gave him, and I have extra.
We're only starting at 2, Stan. It's gonna be a
So your candidates are Alderman Spiegelberg and Alderman Shellpepper, and if you would please make your choice, and then Bob will collect, and if this side would hand them down, fold them up, please, and hand them over to me.
Pass them down already.
Pass them or whatever.
That's right, we need
I know
5,
there's
don't
some
we?
more. Thank you. And I'm mixing them up.
You have 8 of them?
I'm going to count, make sure I have all 8. But I just want to mix them. All righty, 8 of them. Alderman Shellpepper. Alderman Spiegelberg. Alderman Spiegelberg. Alderman Spiegelberg. Alderman Shellpepper. Alderman Shellpepper. Alderman Spiegelberg. Alderman Spiegelberg. I have 5 votes for Alderman Spiegelberg and 3 for Alderman Shellpepper. It is a majority. Alderman Spiegelberg is our council vice president. Again, yes.
Again.
Thank you.
Can I say
And-
something, Mayor?
Yes, you may.
To that? Thank you, guys, I appreciate it. I just want to actually thank, I think Chris was the one that brought this to the attention, that we had a plurality vote, not a majority. And I think it ended up sparking a conversation between Alderman Rozak and myself as far as some of the policies that are not specific for this council and maybe going forward. Sometimes we're following Robert's Rules of Orders, sometimes we're following our own ordinance. And Alderman Rozak and I would like to get together and sort of encapsulate some of those things that we'd like to be specific going forward so that something like this doesn't happen again. Did you want to add to that?
No, my suggestion is do we create a simple set of bylaws to handle these type of situations? And in a vote like this even, let's say there's 3 candidates and we can't get over a hump of a majority, what do we do? I don't want to sit here all day either. So do we do 2 sets of vote to majority? If you don't get it after 2, it goes to a plurality. You know, so if you had 3 candidates that were just, there's always 2 votes and 4, what do you do? I think we need to kind of walk through that process, make some sense of it.
And we've had some other situations too, where sometimes we are following Robert's Rules of Order and sometimes we're not. And I think it would be beneficial to clarify some of those things going forward.
Agreed.
Nope, thank you for the comments. I don't think we should go too much longer
No,
in a discussion. It's not on the agenda. On to number 9, staff reports. There are no staff reports, so now it's reports or comments from aldermen. Alderman Douglas.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, we're going into closed session, and this has come up a couple times. There's nothing in our packet to let us know what we're even talking about. It's brought up 3 or 4 times now. Like, even a memo to say this is what we're gonna be talking about or would be helpful. You know, the project talking about, you know, the Village Green. We spent a lot of time on it. It was very well done, but again, it was thrown at us at the last minute. We don't have anything prior to even look at and, you know, digest beforehand.
No, I think those are good comments. Village Green, I can do a quick comment too. Those drawings are actually finished today. We went through them yesterday. I went through them with Eric and Jason and Mark. So some of it's a timing issue. With regard to the closed session, I hear what you're saying. Sometimes there are good reasons. With regard to this one, we would have to ask Mr. Fry.
No, you asked me.
I was going to ask you, but you report to him, so.
Sometimes.
Stan, you can ask that question if you want.
So going into today's closed session, Mr. Riffle.
I'll talk about it in closed session.
Okay. So the discussion will be brought to you in closed session why there wasn't additional material ahead of time. So, but point well taken, and I know that staff does a really good job to make sure that we have stuff in the packets, and there are multiple times when they're
This
not.
will never be in the packet.
I know, but you're going to talk about it in closed session. And we'll go through
I
that.
think what Alderman Douglas's point is, though, that makes it really hard for us to vote on going into closed session if we have no clue what we're talking about. I know what we're talking about, but others do not. And I think that makes it really, I mean, it makes us tough. It makes it tough. Maybe we think it ought to be the discussion, whatever the points are going to be discussed, ought to be discussed in open session.
Okay. Well, I'm looking for guidance as to whether or not I should sue somebody.
Okay.
I don't think I should talk about that in open session.
No, but what a very short memo that says we're going to discuss litigation strategy with regard to what's noticed.
What it says.
Yeah, but
Let's, I hear you. Any other comments from Alderman? I'm hearing that part loud and clear. With regard to tonight's closed session, we can discuss it in greater depth if you'd like. Any other comments from Alderman tonight? Alderman Spiegelberg.
I just wanted to say that the Oz Plaza Gala on Friday night was really awesome. We raised about $5,000. About 2/3 of that goes back to the Oz Plaza, and the other third goes to the Oconomowoc choir, Oconomowoc Community Choir that graced us with their presence, so.
Good. Any other comments from Alderman? With no other comments, I have one quick comment from the mayor. I threw this on your desk just to give you an update and some accountability as what's been going on with Oconomowoc Parks and Trails. They're just starting to create more of a professional impact report. It's for you and it's for your personal reading. I'd like to entertain a motion shortly to go into closed session into conference room 3. Per Wisconsin State Statute 19-851E, deliberating and negotiating for the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specific public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically in regard to properties located at 131 and 139 North Main Street. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved. So moved.
Second. Any further questions, comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Rozak?
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth?
Aye.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
Alderman Mulder?
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper?
Aye.
Alderman Maroney?
Aye.
Alderman Douglas?
Nay.
At this time, we're going to go into room 3 for closed session. For the public watching after closed session, we will close not only the closed session, but we will adjourn the meeting for the Common